Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the American Tier 5 light tank, or scout tank, the M24 Chaffee, or as I like to call it, the Chaffee, because it rubs you up the wrong way. So is it any good? Yeah, it's a fantastic scout tank, really good. And when I said rubs you up the wrong way, I meant rubs up the enemy tanks the wrong way. It's really good. Now, bear in mind, of course, it is a scout tank, so we'll see tanks up to tier 8, which means you also spend less time as a top tier, tier 5, because you've got more tiers to go through. So bearing that in mind, it still is very good. And the main reason is because it's a scout tank that can actually scout. And you do get a lot of scouting damage in this if you manage to play it well. So, let's get into the review. Now there's only 4 scout tanks in tier 5, so it's easy to compare them all. So we've got this one, the Chaffee, or the Chaffee, the Chaffee. We've also got the Leopard, the German one, the French ELC, and the British Crusader. Now this has 440 hit points, which is the same as the Leopard, but the Crusader has the most at 450, and the ELC gets gypped with just 400 hit points. Weight wise, this thing is about average, I guess. It's a little lighter than the Crusader, but you could probably still ram the Crusader, but it's a lot heavier than the ELC. The ELC only weighs about 7 ton. However, remember our rule of thumb is never ram a German tank. The German is the heaviest at about 21.5 tons. Speed wise, this thing is listed as doing 77 kilometers per hour in forward gear and 21 in reverse, and yeah, it does do that. It really is that fast. The next fastest would be the ELC at 65 kilometers an hour, and the Leopard does 60, and the Crusader is pretty slow at 44. Track traverse on this is 42 degrees a second, which is excellent and is the best in class. The next best is the Crusader at 40, and the ELC at 38. The Leopard has 36 and is the worst. However, it does suffer from the same problem as the ELC in that it power slides when it goes around corners if you turn too hard. And whilst it is fun and very amusing to power slide around a corner, it's actually a really bad thing to do because it wipes off all of your speed and you almost come to a stop. So if you're trying to evade fire and you get into a power slide, unfortunately everyone's shots will start hitting you. So you want to practice in this cornering. And we need to learn how to corner without power sliding. So not basically you need to feather the turning key and slow your turn down a little bit to make sure that you don't get on a power slide. At least that's what I think is a good idea. The turret traverse on this is also very good at 46 degrees a second. The best is the Crusader with 48 degrees a second. The Leopard has 40. And the ELC has 44, but really the ELC doesn't have a turret. Its turret only moves about 45 degrees. It's actually a tank destroyer technically. Well, maybe not technically, but it's a tank destroyer. Anyway, one of the best things about this though is it has 390 meter view range, which is the best in class. The next best is the Leopard with 380, and the other two only have 360, which makes them tough to do scouting in. So this is a first scout tank that we get that is really good as far as you can see, and so even at tier 8 you can see as far as, if not further than, most of the tanks you have to scout. So you're not getting spotted when you're scouting them most of the time, which enables you to get pretty good spotting damage. Now its camouflage is the worst in class, but it's not actually bad. It's nowhere near as good as the ELC. That just has awesome camouflage, but it's a little bit worse than the Crusader and the Leopard, but not substantially worse. So it's still quite good. And the view range seems to be more important when scouting than camouflage is, because if your view range is poor, like say the ELC with only 360 meters, it has to get a lot closer to do the scouting, and when you get closer, the chance of being spotted skyrockets. When you can stay far away and still spot with good view range, and you're hiding in a bush somewhere, you've got much less chance of being spotted. Now, the gun depression of this tank is excellent. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, which is the best in class, and enables this thing to hill fight and shoot over hills really well. If you run into one of the other scouts, and in a hilly area, use the hills to your advantage because they all have trouble shooting over hills. The next best is the Crusader with 7 degrees of gun depression, which makes it kind of not quite a Hellfighter. The other two only have, the Leopard has 4 degrees and the ELC has 5 degrees, so definitely you can out Hellfight those other tanks and a lot of other tanks, to be honest. Now, the grind for this tank isn't really very complicated. There's not much to talk about. Oh, we'll have a quick look. Basically, yes, you definitely want to get the engine because the horsepower goes from 296 up to 460 horsepower, and the weight only goes up 20 kilos, so definitely do that. Even if you don't care about the radio, get the top radio anyway because it's 20 kilograms lighter than the standard radio. Now, you do have to get the tracks, I'm pretty sure, to get the turret, but the top gun is definitely worth it. It is fantastic, this gun. It's a 75mm gun, has a 17.14 rate of fire, which is pretty quick, 96mm of penetration, which for a tier 5 tank, light tank, is fantastic. Does 110 hit points of damage per shot, which for a tier 5 light tank is just awesome, especially with that rate of fire. Accuracy of 0.36, which at tier 5 is very good. And an aiming time of 1.9, which is great. What a gun. This gun has no weaknesses, except maybe the pen against, you know, heavy tanks and stuff, but you've got the speed, mobility and camouflage to get side shots and rear shots on people, so you can penetrate even tier 8s. And you've got premium ammunition, which is 143mm, so there's really no one you can't penetrate at the back or sides. A fantastic tank, all-round tank in that respect. Yeah, really, really good. So, what else is there to say about it? Well, obviously the armor's not good, and we'll have a look at that in Tank Inspector. I mean, it's a light tank, and it's fast. It is a little fragile, though, and the... yeah, you do get locked turret. The engine gets taken out very easily. And of course, compared to a lot of the tanks you're fighting, you do have very low hit points. So I reckon you really need 6th Sense on your commander in this tank to really get the most out of the tank, because if you are spotted and then you get one shot killed and you didn't know you'd been spotted, your game's over and it's really tough. But you've got a lot of speed, so if you do get spotted and you know you've been spotted, you can run, and most of the time you'll live. So it's really important, I think, to have 6th Sense on this tank. I have vents fitted, camouflage net and binoculars fitted, so I mostly do passive scouting. I use the speed to get to a really good location, then wait there. Halfway through the game I take off and try and wipe out the artillery and stuff. Use the speed for that. Now, you could, if you wanted to be an active scout, if you don't like passive scouting, you could swap the binoculars for coated optics, and you could swap the camouflage net for vertical stabilizers you can get on this, which is pretty good for a tier 5 tank to get vertical stabilizers, which gives you extra 20% accuracy during movement and turret rotation, which if you want to do active scouting, you want to keep moving around, would be a great addition for this tank. I have small repair kit, large first aid kit fitted, and my crew is 100% trained. Most of them have brothers in arms, but not all of them, so it's not actually effective. And the rest of them are just sort of part way through skills. Like I've got 6th Sense. This guy's working on snapshot. This guy's working on, he's got off-road driving actually. This guy's working on situational awareness, but he's not there yet. And this guy's working on camouflage, but he's not there yet. So that gives you a bit of an idea of the skills. We'll have a quick look in Tank Inspector and get into some gameplay. Actually, I'm back because one thing I forgot to mention, the listed accuracy of the gun of 0.36 is awesome. However, I don't feel it's actually as accurate as they say it is. I think it's more like about 0.4, maybe 0.38 on a good day. So it's not actually as accurate as a 0.36. So just bear that in mind. They've taken a bit of a liberty there, I think. But it's still, considering, you know, you can get side shots and a lot of free shots in this tank, it's still pretty good. M24 Chaffee in Tank Inspector. So let's have a look at the colorized view. You can see the armor here is 25mm, which really tier 5 and above has no armor effectively. The front of the turret is 38mm, which still there is not a tank that you will come across that cannot penetrate that. The mantlet is still only 40, doesn't really overlap except on the edges, which 95 there we're getting the equivalent of. That will bounce a few, you know, maybe some scout tanks, so you could possibly bounce off the edges of the mantlet, but you know, not that great. The cupola is 25mm, which is pretty much useless. The side of the front is also 25mm, the side rear is 19mm. Side of the turret is 25. So obviously anything hitting you with HE ammunition is going to blow you to pieces, and you do get sometimes one shot killed in this tank. 19mm on the rear, turret rear 25mm, top deck 13mm all round. And yes, before I got 6th Sense, I was getting one shot killed quite a few times. I was being a little bit too cheeky, trying to work out the limits of the tank, and thought I wasn't going to get spotted where I was, and did, and got blown away. So that's why I think 6th Sense is important in this tank. Yeah, just don't get hit by HE.
Time to roll out.
The map is Melanovka. I'm in my Chaffee, and it's a tier 6 game. The reason it's a tier 6 game is it's my very first game in the tank. I still have the stock turret, stock gun, and stock tracks on the tank. So I moved to a spotting position, and straight away we start lighting up tanks due to the excellent view range in the tank. Now, I don't think my binoculars had even kicked in. Now I'm resisting the urge to shoot anyone because I don't want them to spot me. So I just want to spot them and let my teammates do the damage. Hopefully they do. Now, yeah, this is my very first game, and I can't believe I'm getting all these good spots and no one's shooting me. So I'm thinking, oh, this is great. Now, I've got the stock gun, but now this tank gets too close, and I decide I'm going to have to shoot it. And I'm thinking my cover's blown. But you can see here, this is the stock gun, and not a problem. I of course had teammates helping me. I go back to the spot, but I'm thinking, oh, they must have spotted me. There you go, looks like artillery is shooting at me. So I move around a little bit more again, hoping the spot I become unspotted, because I can't see the other tanks at the moment, so they probably can't see me either. So I go back to the bush, and hopefully my camouflage net will reset. So now the stock gun though has got the same pen and the same damage as the top gun. The only difference really is it's not as accurate, and it doesn't fire as rapidly. So other than that, it's the same anyway. So it's not that big a deal not having a top gun, and not having a top turret isn't that big a deal either. Although I think my view range is actually a little reduced. So having trouble with the side of the KV-1 there. He's pointing at us, but he can't see us. So that one went in. So there you go. The penetration is good enough if you get the side and rear of tanks. So that one's gone now. So yeah, I could not believe my luck then that I was able to fire and not get spotted. At this stage, I didn't have 6th Sense on the tank, so maybe I was getting spotted, but just no one was paying attention to me. But I think I wasn't getting spotted. KV2, it's probably asking a bit much to pen a KV2, but you never know your luck. Now, I think I said in the review that this tank, it's tier 5 to tier 8, but I'm pretty sure now, looking at it, I think the Leopard's the same. It never sees a tier 5 game, so you never top tier because it's a scout tank. I think it only sees between tier 6 and tier 8. Hence why, because normally your first game in a tank, it always puts you as top tier. The fact that I'm not, I'm pretty sure actually tier 6 is the best you can get in this tank. Yeah, not being able to penetrate that KV2 at all, but hey, I might as well shoot it. Oh, that said, by the way, you don't get a lot of ammo. I think you get about 50 rounds in this tank. So it looks like we're still spotting these guys. I think it's me that's spotting them still. We got one into the side of the VK there without a problem. And we actually finished that one off. Now we've got a medium 2, what is it, next to us? Now I really hate it when these people do that. Now see that? He drove behind me, and believe it or not, the Churchill actually ricocheted off me somehow. Now he wouldn't have been aiming at me because he can't see me. He was aiming at the guy driving behind me and hit me. So lesson 1, if you're a new player, never ever drive next to a scout tank, because basically you are inviting people to shoot at it. Now that scout tank is spotting all of the enemy for you and allowing your team to shoot it. So do not get your scout tank killed by driving behind it and using it as a shield. Also, oh, we got another kill there. Also, don't park next to a scout tank, even if you think you're camouflaged, because if you get spotted, you could just happen to draw artillery fire, which not only kills you, but kills the scout. Or if you're a heavy tank, it probably won't kill you, but it probably will kill the scout. So scouts get very annoyed when other tanks come apart next to them. Look at this Chaffee, he's just run into the back of me. Now he's scraping my side. He's probably going to get spotted and draw fire on me. Now, I think he's going for player of the week. Anyway. Why do you get people like that? All in one game they all do it. Now here we go, moving along, we've done a bit more spotting. I decide now I've got to keep moving. It's too dangerous to stand still. And I'm going to use my great gun depression here. Look at this.
Enemy armor is damaged.
We're tracking with the first shot. Now, artillery just doesn't have gun depression.
Penetration.
Another one into him. And someone else gets the finishing shot. But, you know, you've got to expect that in light tanks. This is a good spot to be in. If you watch Quickie Baby, he likes to get in that spot. I have trouble getting there at the start of the game, but at this stage I can get in there. But pretty much all the guys on the hills have been killed. Got a shot here on the enemy scout tank, and we managed to finish off the Leopard. So here's the other tier 5 scout tank. I have heard in the past good things about the Leopard. It's meant to be pretty good, but I've never driven it. AT8 might be asking a bit much from this gun to penetrate an AT8. And we go straight in. And straight into the side of it. I don't know if we got a lucky one into the cupola. So the top gun has a .36. You see we've got an orange indicator on the cupola there, which is the weak spot, but we're not getting through. Yeah, about .4 accuracy I think it is on this gun. Now I'm trying to track him. And the top gun is .36. So, oh, that one went in. There you go. So you can even penetrate them on the side. That's not bad. So that one didn't go in. I'm just trying to track him now, so I'm aiming sort of to the tracking wheel. I figure at least if I can track him, I'll get more points for other people damaging him. And a game over. Now, I admit that that was a ridiculous first game in the tank. Admittedly, my crew was 100% trained, but even so. And they were 100% trained because when we had the Chaffee Sport, the tank racing, I kept the crew from that, which I had fully trained in that racing tank. And so when I bought the Chaffee, I put him straight in. I had a fully trained crew. But yeah, gee whiz. And I have to admit, after I played this game, I thought, this is a super tank. And I went out the next 2 games and got slaughtered straight away because I got spotted and killed. And I learned that I think I had a bit of luck in this game. You still have to be careful in this tank. I don't want you to think it's a freak tank. It's not. But it is a very good tank. So we got, that's Scout badge, I think, Confederate badge, and it was a mastery game in the tank. Yeah. And not everything can fit on this one screen, so I've just got another screenshot that shows you the last row, which is coming up. So the last one, what's that? Oh, that was the Leopard that we killed. Alright, so then the next screen we can see that obviously we finished on top for XP, and we actually finished on top for damage as well. Tier 5 scout tank finished on top of damage. You can see how good the Chaffee is. This other guy has a Chaffee, and he actually did a fair bit of damage as well, and got a badge for something, I don't know what, because this is a screenshot. So we fired 44 shots, and I think the tank only has about 50 rounds, so we went through a fair bit of ammo. And I think I carried 5 premium rounds at this stage. I don't think I used any. 30 shots hit, only 15 penetrations. Admittedly, a couple would have been tracking shots, but it does show that, you know, it's not a guaranteed pen or anything. I said the gun is good. Look, the pen, I might have gone overboard saying it was fantastic, but it's good. I mean, compared to the M5 Stuart that you have before this, I think that's part of the reason why you just think this tank is fantastic, because the other one was so bad. 1,453 damage is not too shabby in a tier 5 light tank. A lot of that was long range too, so that penetration, when you consider too that it was long range shooting, a lot of it, that's not a bad result. We did receive a hit, and it bounced from the Churchill. He wasn't aiming at us, but still we were very lucky. And actually 50 damage, he probably wasn't using the top gun, that Churchill, so then we were very lucky. We spotted 9 vehicles, damaged 9 vehicles, destroying 3 of them. We did 2,182 spotting damage on top of our 1,453 damage. 47,000 income. We spent nothing on ammunition because yeah, it was all standard ammo. 42,000 profit, which is huge. 1,369 raw XP, which is not too bad. And it was a 2 times, plus it was something else. I ended up with 6,000 or something, which is pretty incredible. Alright, next game.
Time to roll out.
So the map is mines, and it's a tier 8 game. The enemy has 4 tier 8 tanks. I mean, my tier 5 Chaffee. And this game I'm going to show you because it has quite a bit of movement and shows off the agility of the tank. For example, check out how fast we're going. We are currently doing 81, 82, 85, 83. That's a fast tank. So I'm moving into an early position without being spotted on the way over, which is pretty impressive. So whilst this tank, this game, I don't do masses of spotting damage. I do show off the manoeuvrability, like I said, of the tank, which is worth seeing. A bit late firing at that 1375, and someone else finishes him off. We did get spotted, so I decided to move right up against the rock because I don't want to get hit by artillery. Waiting until my spot disappears, so I'm off the radar, and now I'm moving to see if I can get a shot or perhaps spot these tanks up here. See the T-34 starting to come up, so we might get a shot. I don't think I can penetrate a T-34 in the turret, even the back of it. We can see there I've got an orange indicator and it's going red up the top. I think nah, it's not worth taking a shot. Let's give away my position, and I'm not gonna pin it. But I have got 6 cents now, and my tank is fully upgraded. I've got the top gun and turret and tracks now, and I like that first game where it was still basically a stock tank. So I see that I've got a friendly tank moving up, so I decide to move up with him and that Tiger there and try and help him out, because the Tiger on its own is a tank that can get overrun fairly easily because it doesn't have real good armor. So I thought he was actually moving up here to get the other tanks, so that's why I decided to move up with him, but it looks like he's actually pausing here. I decided to move up a little bit more so we can get a bit of a better spot. And we're at the top of the Type 59. It's been hit a couple of times. I've got a green indicator, so I decided to go for it there on the roof of the tank, but just bounces, probably ricocheted. Moving forward now. Artillery is unlikely to shoot at me while I'm moving since I'm so hard to hit. I'm small and fast. Back of the ISU 152. I think we bounced or something. It was worth a try for a track or an engine shot. KV3 there. I don't think we can pin KV3. So I can see this Panther 88 down here. He's a tier 8 medium tank, but he looks like he's kind of on his own. Now I'm aware there's probably a couple of guys on the hill, but I decide I'm just going to go for it. So
Target acquired.
yeah, as you can see, I decide to use auto aim, and I get one on the move there. You can see shooting on the move is pretty good in this tank. That one missed though. I get a bit of lag, and sometimes when I'm moving my shots miss. I got a shot into him now. I'm just changing the view so we can keep looking at the tank, because I was looking where I was going. I wasn't really looking at the tank.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
So I'm going to look at it so you can see.
Enemy armor is
So you
hit.
can see the side of him we penetrate pretty well, and he can't hit us.
Armor is damaged.
We're just too fast for him. Even when he gets his gun pointing at us, we just go past so fast that he has trouble. He might also be having a bit of lag. You can see there, yeah, wow, we just wrecked him and somebody else finished him for us, but the speed of this thing and the agility of this tank is just so good. Oh, there's the Nash horn. Now, oh,
Ready to fire.
we missed. I used auto aim foolishly because I don't normally use it. I used auto aim and aimed at the middle of the tank, and it looks like we actually hit the rock. And there's an argument for not using auto aim. Auto aim's okay when you're moving really fast and you've got to look somewhere other than where you're shooting. But now I think we did spot that GW Panther and he got shot there, so we would have got a bit of XP for that, I think. And now we're going to try and take out this Hellcat. the blood's rushed to my head and I've gone, you know, I'm invincible mode.
Permission to engage.
So we didn't see us coming up. I'm using auto again, trying to try out a bit of auto aim.
Enemy armor is hit.
Actually, I think I had a mission where I had to damage tanks with auto aim on. I think that might be what it is. I've been hit in the back by a tiger now. I'm outmaneuvering this poor Hellcat who has terrible turret rotation.
Everyone get out.
And the Bulldog manages to finish us off from the hill at the centre of mine. So, but it looks like we're going to win because the enemy only has 3 tanks left. So even though we got killed, we still played our part by exposing the Nashorn, the artillery, and finishing off the Hellcat, which sort of decimated their support. Okay. So yeah, another mastery game in the tank. This one we did a bit over 2,000 spotting, but we also did over 1,000 actual damage as well. So that's why I wanted to show you this one, because I think the other tier 8 ones where I was doing sort of 3,500 spotting, they tended to be me sort of spotting but not shooting much at all because I was just spotting. So yeah, a bit boring to watch. So we finished on top for XP. Nowhere near top for damage, excuse me, but you wouldn't want to in a tier 8 game. Well, you wouldn't be able to in a tier 8 game and win. So, fired 22 shots, 15 of those hit and 10 of the ones we hit penetrated, which is not bad considering the tier of game we're in. We did 11 damage. We received 2 hits, both penetrated, and that was all it took to kill us. We don't have a lot of hit points. We spotted 2, damaged 2, destroyed 1. And 2,135 spotting damage as well as the 1,100 actual damage, which is great. We, as you see, earnings in this tank are really good, for about 43,000, and we ended up, even though we got destroyed, still made about 38,000 profit. So it almost feels like a premium tank, the amount of profits you can make in this tank. Yeah, so 1164 was enough for mastery. So that other one we did 1,300 and something was well inside mastery. So mastery, I won't say it's actually easy to get because I did have some games where I thought I did really well but didn't get it, so luck of the draw I think. In a tier 8 game you've got a better chance of getting it because obviously you get extra XP for being against higher tiers. Thank you for watching my review of the American M24 Chaffee, Caffee, whichever you prefer. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun.